what excites you in your work?
Sure. No, I'll tell you that. So I literally just got done doing three political websites for people in Washington State, right? Because their election cycle is a little bit different than New York State cycle.
Okay.
And so I just came from Washington State for the past 20 years, so I still have a lot of relationships there.
Hmm.
And to be honest, it helps me to not be there because I'm not seen as having an allegiance to. I'm just doing work
Right.
now, right?
Yeah.
But so I will tell you right now, I work for people who would say that they are on the right. I work for people who would say they're on the left. My bare minimum is I have to be okay with who you are as a human being and what you're putting out there in the world, right?
Yeah.
So like I won't do work for people that I have some like very core like some
Right.
stuff with.
Yeah.
That said, I literally got to like see people like grow up in a 40-day period because I've run a campaign personally for
Hmm.
myself, and I understand like what you learn along the way.
Yeah.
And to see somebody go from I want to be on the school board or I think I can help to becoming like a real candidate who can
Yeah.
speak to real issues and like that, it's just amazing to see that
Yeah.
like from a human perspective. And
Yeah.
so to get to be involved with people like on that level,
Hmm.
I really love that part of my job.
Oh,
I
cool.
love being able to like communicate people's like like if I'm talking to somebody about their show, like I sometimes I give advice to people about their podcast or this or that. And so to be able to like to just use what I have learned and to be able
Mhm.
to give that away and like people can take what they want. Oh, that fits
Right.
for me and no, this doesn't. Like that's what I'm here for. That's
Yeah.
the goal of my life is to kind of take in information and then make it useful to the people. If I can get paid to do that, awesome, right? That's the goal, right? It's
Yeah.
like, no, I really, and
Yeah.
so, but yeah, it's just been like working with the different kinds of people. And also with what I do, I'm rarely doing the same thing twice in a row.
That's
So
cool.
even if I'm building a website twice in a row, it's a different person. I'm
Hmm.
learning something like I have to learn about that person's business and
Yeah.
them as a person. So I become like a mini subject matter expert in
Yeah.
what I'm doing because I just really have to pay that much attention to be able to produce a
Yeah.
product for somebody that is kind of emanating who they are or what they're
Yeah.
doing. So yep,
So it's really it's the connection with the people and really having the
yep, yeah,
relationships.
and yeah, and how it allows me to be creative. I used to
Yeah.
never think of myself as a creative
Hmm.
person at all, and
Hmm.
I very much think of myself as that now
Yeah.
because I'm constantly having to reinvent how to like tell a story or how do
Yep.
we tell Jackie's story instead of
Mhm.
Joe's story, right? Because they're two different
Right.
people, so you can't use the same this or you can't,
Yeah.
so whatever it is. But yeah, just all that.
That's awesome. That's awesome, but it is. I say. Actually, it's funny because I was going to ask you your history of politics in terms of what
Ooh,
you ran
here we
for.
go.
No, yeah, we're not going to go deep into politics. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but
sure.
just what you ran
Right
for.
here. I ran for this for city council for Bainbridge
Okay,
Island City
Bainbridge Island.
Council,
Okay,
Central Ward District 5. Um, and I did that in 2020 or 2021, something like that.
okay. Well, you moved back here though, and
In late 2021, in December 20. So I
okay,
actually ran in 2021. Now it makes sense
okay,
because
okay.
I declared in March. I actually visited New York in April, and I made the decision that if I won my primary or my race, I would stay in Washington, and if I didn't, I would move home.
Oh,
And so I ran my primary. I did not win, and I moved home that December.
did you going into it think one way or the other that you were going to that you definitely weren't, you really weren't sure? I mean, I know
When
you
I
went in wanting
applied,
to, I
sure,
assume, but
sure. When I applied, I thought there was probably a 50-50 chance of me
okay.
winning because there was two candidates. It
Hmm.
was me, and then there was a mayor who was in that district, and she was rerunning, but she had become pretty unpopular with a lot
Oh,
of groups. And
huh,
so I had been asked to run to oppose
okay.
her.
Ah,
What I didn't know is that somebody else had also been asked to run to oppose her, and that person was handpicked by the Democratic gods. And I kid you not, like like
oh,
they literally were
brother.
like, "We're going to put you right here," which means you get all the endorsements, you get all the
Yeah.
money, you get all the, and that's where you learn about the political machine. In my opinion, is
Hmm.
like when you're in there and you just look down and you see a train coming, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh wow, I thought that was the same train that had kind of been asking me to help out, and then you're like, oh no, they're just going to run you the whatever over, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was very interesting. It was mildly disappointing that human
Yeah.
beings would behave in certain ways, but the other thing
Hmm.
I'll say is that I really appreciate when reality shows itself. Regardless of how I feel about it, I would rather
Yeah.
see the truth about what's going to happen, because then I
Yeah.
get to make a better decision next
Yeah.
time if I make that better
Right.
decision, right?
That's
And so my better decision was to make money off of politics
yeah.
instead
Well,
of
that's
be
what I was
in
gonna say.
politics.
You're like the perfect person to help someone with their campaign because you did
I
it.
tell them the truth too.
Yeah,
I
no,
tell them the
that's
truth. I
awesome.
say,
And
hey,
you
this is
still
my experience.
want to work with that. So hey, you some people
What
might
I
become
know is that it's going to happen one, like, meaning there will be politics, there will
right.
be people running for office, there will be elections. And so just like kind of with growth in our area or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want a bunch of big buildings. I don't want like
Right.
Saugerties or Woodstock or Olive Bridge to look like Manhattan.
Right.
However, my best guess is that growth will happen whether I like it or not.
Right.
And so I can choose to like try to usher that in a way where I'm a part of that and I get some
Hmm.
say, or I can be on the outside saying, I don't want this here and you
Right.
shouldn't be able to do that. And so it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and so for me, how I choose to want to like be a part of that system these
Yeah.
days is to counsel the people who are going to go do that, right?
Hmm.
Because what I know for me is that I don't want to go and be a part of that machine directly. I don't like how
Right.
that feels. I don't
Yep.
like what you got to do to get there. I don't like what you got to
Yeah.
do to stay there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody does it, but I
Right.
ain't seen a person yet that hasn't. So
Yeah. Hmm.
but yeah, it's like I would rather be a good human to the people who are doing that so that they can maybe have some
Hmm.
idea of what will happen, so they're a little bit less jaded by the time they get there. They're like, oh, you know
Yeah.
what, Sal told me that they were going to do that, and like at least I knew, kind of thing. So yeah, and it's just been a great experience.